Hello everyone, welcome to Divine Debut. This is Kathy speaking. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you as you are enjoying your holidays. Well, under the circumstances that we're in right now, it's not that easy, but nevertheless, it's still that time of the year, so I'm wanting to wish you all that are celebrating now all the best and enjoy your break. All right, everyone, this is the video for the eclipse, the full moon eclipse that's happening on the 30th of November 2020. But as you can see on your screens, I do have the 15th of November. I will be speaking about the eclipse further down, but I want to just give you a little bit of information on which energies we're working with right now, as this was the last new moon that we had, as you can see here, on the 15th of November, depending on where you are in the world. The last new moon in the sign of Scorpio, and we know that Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. We've got the new moon, which happened. We're still in those energies, right? At 23 degrees in the sign of Scorpio. Remember that 23 I see, if we look at the hour on the clock, 23 is a number 11. So it's somewhat of a portal. And why am I calling it a portal? Well, that number always is very intriguing for me. 11, 23, these are important connections, I would say. These numbers, these synchronistic numbers that we've been seeing. We have had a lot of very big dose of 1111 reoccurring numbers in the recent past. I've been mentioning this to a lot of you, those of you who follow me on the dailies. That number 23, number 11 keeps coming up. We're at a portal. Humanity is at a portal. There is an opening, okay? And I do feel, because this new moon was happening in Scorpio, we know that Scorpio means death and transformation. Scorpio can mean many, many things. I will be talking to you through this reading. The ruler of Scorpio is Pluto. Now, we know the year 2020 has been a very challenging year. And Mars, for the second half of 2020, has been, moving direct and then retrograde and now direct in the sign of Aries. Actually, Mars turned direct the day before this new moon. And Mars is also the ancient ruler of Scorpio, so we're in a Plutonian year. If you look at the big energies that we've been dealing with, the sign of Capricorn, since the beginning of 2020, we know that Pluto, Saturn, and Mars, they're the malefic planets, they're difficult energies, but Pluto would trump all these energies. So Pluto is the most powerful, most transformational energy. We know that Pluto is Hades in mythology. It speaks of the underworld. It speaks of a rebirth after a death. Pluto being the ruling sign of Scorpio. We know that Scorpio is very much about the occult. It's got to do with money coming through. Remember that the word Pluto in Greek means riches, but it also speaks of the masses. Pluto, right, which means plenty. It does speak of the masses as well, and we know that these energies here are all about plutocracy. So these are the big heads, the big bosses. This is the energy we've been working with for the whole year. So, and because Mars in its home sign of Aries, the last 6 months has been in Aries for a whole 6 months. This doesn't happen very often at all. It's very rare. So therefore Mars has been, since it was retrograding, it was very close to the Earth. So we've had a lot of those scorpionic energies. It's been a Scorpio year. Now, a Scorpio year means on a personal level, on a collective level, because Scorpio also rules the sexual organs, which means something new is going to be birthed after a death. Scorpio is also money coming from other sources, from outside, from your partner, from the bank, from a loan, from an inheritance. There's a lot that we are dealing with since the beginning of the year, as we had these big planets connected to the eclipses from the beginning of the year. We had the lockdown at the beginning of the year. Now we're in a lockdown once more. I don't know about you. I'd love to hear your comments on this. Where Greece and parts of Europe is concerned, from around the beginning of November, we've been on lockdown. So we know that, as I said, Scorpio is very hidden. Scorpio individuals, they're very private. They're not people who open up easily. They're all about black and white. It's a polarity. Scorpio is a polarity. They will not connect unless they connect on a very deep level. So there's a lot about mysticism and the occult that's going on. Recently, we've had Mercury retrograde in the sign of Scorpio as well. Once it hit the 11th degree of Scorpio, it stationed, and it started from Libra, and then it, went up to the 11th degree of Scorpio, then it stationed, turned retrograde, came back all the way to Libra again, I think the 25th degree, and then stationed direct and came again. It's traveled over its shadow phase. Here on this new moon, Mercury was at 5 degrees. I was saying that once it gets to the 11th degree where it's stationed to turn retrograde, that we would be hearing important things. I remember on the day, it was quite a significant day. News, Mercury, the messenger of the gods, brought things and news, information that was quite interesting, to say the least. Mercury is digging up the dirt, right? So Mercury visited Hades, collected the information. Remember that Mercury can turn dark once it's transiting through a dark sign, and Scorpio is a dark sign. Also, we've had Mercury and Uranus. So Mercury is logic, Uranus is Mercury, the left brain, Uranus, the right brain, the ethers. Uranus can speak of stress. It's very much of an anxious energy, and it rules Aquarius, which Aquarius is newness. It's the people. It's it's the water bearer. So where newness, groups and associations, the internet, because Uranus is also, it's got those antennas, right? So it's all about being social, being out there with the others. Remember, Aquarius loves to be within a group, but it also speaks of the maverick, doing something in a scientific, different way. So we've got the sky Uranus, that's what it means. And we've got the child, Mercury, the messenger of the gods. So Mercury has gone down into the depths. It's visited Hades, and it has recently connected with Uranus. So, what's the depth? Hades, and the deepest depth of all, and then the highest, the ethereal, God, being close to God and spirit and the angels. There's been an opposition here. So we're talking about the darkness and the light. We are having many polarities recently. And we've still got we've still got the energies of this new moon that we're working with. Why am I bringing you back to the new moon in Scorpio? Because we've got a star here, a very important star, which is called Unukulai. Now that's an Arabic name, so I don't know if I'm pronouncing it well. Now Unukulai is a giant star, so it is huge, it is massive, and it is at the 22nd degree of Scorpio, okay, which Unukulai is in the constellation of serpents. So in other words, the serpent, right? That a huge star, that giant star, marks the neck of the snake. So the snake's neck, which is the serpent, right? We all know in the tarot, we usually see the serpent, which can mean, it can mean poison, it can mean healing, like so medicine. It could speak of jealousy, it could speak of death, because the snake, we know, sheds its skin, it peels off the layers. Okay, it's the snake, the serpent can be a very dark energy, and many times we feel that this serpent is very scorpionic, right? So the neck of the snake is held by Ophiuchus. So Ophiuchus, who is the medicine man, Ophiuchus in mythology is shown to be holding that serpent, okay, and Ophiuchus is a large constellation as well, which shows a man, the medicine man, Ophiuchus, straddling the celestial equator. He's holding onto that serpent, and he's on top of the celestial equator. So this is a very important point here, the 22nd degree, which has got to do with poison and elixir, the magic potion, the solution, the medical potion, right, that can bring in healing. Unukulai, it can also mean something of toxicity, it's heavy metals, it's alcohol, can mean chemicals, and it also has a very strong hypnotic effect on a lower level. So just like everything has got its light side and its dark side, its positive and negative, Unukulai can mean poison or medicine, right? We know that the serpent, the poison is taken from the snake and it's turned into medicine. So there is a sense of a rebirth, but going through a death. So this is an open portal. And what do I mean when I say open portal, everyone? I mean, a portal is usually, it's got to do with an opening that deals with the light, but also the darkness, okay? And the year 2020 has been really, really hard for relationships and really extra challenging for love, okay? Because we've been dealing, if we have been dealing with toxic, poisonous connections, relationships, Unukulai at 23 degrees of Scorpio, well, right on this new moon of Scorpio, it says that we're going through a test. Remember that back on the 9th or 10th of November, we had Venus right opposite Mars. So Venus here is in Libra, so back on the 9th and 10th, Venus in Libra and Mars in Aries. Remember that Aries is I, and Venus in Libra, both were in their home signs. Venus in Libra is the spiritual side. It's the higher, more elevated love. Okay, it's the ethereal love. Being in a loving and justified equal giving and receiving relationship. Doesn't only have to be, I mean, Libra we know is all about justice and balance, but we had an opposition here, right, on the 9th and 10th. So the lovers, Venus and Mars, both in their home signs, were at odds. They were in an opposition. And what is an opposition, everyone? What is the opposition? I call it a tug of war. It means compromise. It's where the energy swings from each side. You know, one moment one person is pulling more, and then the other person is then pulling onto that rope. So it's a tug of war, and it's like a pendulum. Think of a pendulum, how it goes from side to side. That's how the energies are. So it's all about seeing, trying to balance, see if we can balance out through. Remember that when we've got an opposition, what, just like the polarities of, let's say, the signs, Leo has Aquarius right across. So what Leo doesn't have, Aquarius has. They fit each other perfectly like a glove. But there's also an opposition there. So are we going to work together, or are we going to work against each other? Are we going to be friends, or are we going to be foe? That's the energy of Venus and Mars. So it's very challenging. Here we are. I just went back to the 10th of January so that I could show you the eclipse that was happening. And this was a full moon. It was a lunar eclipse, as we've got the sun and the moon opposite each other. We had Mercury here, and we had the conjunction of Saturn and Pluto. And then, of course, Mercury moved forward and came on top of Neptune. So let's just go and show you that. So on the 16th of February, as you can see, Mercury has come on top of, very close to Neptune. Mars has just entered the stellium in Capricorn. Mars loves to be in Capricorn. And remember that it's coming up to the South Node, which has got to do with karma. Also something that we should be shedding. We're still in eclipse times here. So on the 16th of February, we're still feeling those dark energies, right? And as you can see, Mercury has stationed now to turn retrograde. So on the 17th of February, Mercury turned retrograde, and it's dancing close to Neptune. As you can see, it's moving backwards. Mars is now coming into the dark energies here, joining in the darkness, because Mars is also a malefic. Mars also rules Scorpio, remember? But it's also the warrior. It's it knows that as soon as it comes home to Aries, it's going to stay there for a while. So it's preparing, really. And as you can see here now, Mercury has started to move direct, and it's come over Neptune. This period here, I mean April, March, April, we had a world lockdown, right? So as I was saying, just going back to what I was saying, is that Neptune is also very connected to illnesses, weird illnesses, unexplainable, deceptive. Neptune in mythology, Poseidon, the gods of the seas, the god of the seas, can be a very rough ride. So we always say that Saturn is the malefic. He's the, the Saturnian dark angel, let's say. Neptune can be just as much, if not maybe even more, sometimes dark. So especially in its home sign of Pisces. All right, so let's go back to the now. I've actually just gone back to the day of the elections, where we've got Jupiter and Pluto conjunct here. Look at all the T-squares here. It was a very pressurized moment here with the elections, and as they were held a day before Mercury turned direct. So Mercury was actually stopped in the sky. There, it was stopped. Now, I just wanted to mention that Mercury at the 25th, 26th degree of Libra, these 2 degrees here in the Sabian symbol, it speaks of dualistic energies to the point of schizophrenia. So it was a very, very harsh moment here. And the Sabian symbol describes a hawk and a pigeon fighting. So there's bipolaristic energies where people are divided, and there's a sense of madness, okay? Especially just looking at these T-squares here, all this stellium here in Capricorn connected to Aries, who is the sister of Mars, okay, and she's also very much of a warrior, connected to Mercury. Mercury can mean the media, it can mean information, it can mean children, but it can also mean, remember that Mercury rules Gemini, so it's a decision. Again, it's the twins. Mercury also rules Virgo, everyone, and Virgo is the house of health. With these energies here, as Uranus is also at 8 degrees, Uranus is here at 8 degrees with Black Moon Lilith, very hard. It's in an inconjunction here to Venus being strong in her home sign of Libra, in conjunction, and an inconjunction, so a quincunx, the energies are harsh as there is blindness. They cannot see each other, so therefore they cannot work together. Okay, it's hard to engage. Venus with Uranus, and Uranus, of course, can mean stressful, can mean the internet. Venus can mean money, it can mean values. It could speak of love as well. So we know that Black Moon Lilith is very dark. She's a dark deity, and she's like a dark Venus. So very challenging aspects. We've also got Hygeia, the asteroid of health, which is in a T-square with Uranus and Black Moon Lilith and the Sun. And the Sun we know is the soul, the Sun in Scorpio. And remember that Scorpio is dark, so the Sun is trying to bring in the light, trying to bring in the healing, but there is a lot of pressure here. Remember again that the Sun in Scorpio is the occult, so the Sun is the soul. So this is like, again, the Sun's not happy in Scorpio, and the Sun being at 11 degrees, again, that speaks to me very loudly. So that's why it was to be expected that these elections would take way longer to conclude, and finish up, and just be a clear-cut win. We knew that it wouldn't be easy, and I'm wondering why they actually performed these elections as Mercury was stationed and not having moved direct yet. That's a good question. Anyway, also another thing I'd like to add is that Mars at 16, it was retrograde. Obviously, it was close to stationing there as well. Stationing means it's much more amplified, right? So stopping, getting ready to move direct, obviously. So Mars at 16 degrees, this is a very spiritual degree, which maybe asks us that maybe we should turn to spirit at this point. This, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, I mean November, December, October, they're all times of, it's the flu season. So where people are getting sick, they're probably fearing that they're sick with COVID-19. We've been through many times of getting sick. It's not always something to fear. So sometimes there's too much miscommunication, too much wrongful information as well, and a lot of social media, because I'm going to say Neptune is also, it's the media, it's also social media, it's trying to see things through all this confusion, trying to see what is the truth, what is reality and what is not. Okay, so I'm back to the new moon in Scorpio with Uniculai, and Mars is at 15, almost the 16th degree, the spiritual degree. Now, Ophiuchus, the medicine man in this period, is probably saying, because it's right on the new moon, the meaning here is probably saying that because there's a lot of mental and physical healing that is necessary. This could be because we know new moons are new beginnings, and there is a healing energy here. It's either going to go one way or the other way, because Ophiuchus can be more poison instead of more medicine, so more sickness. The 23rd degree is a mysterious illness, and COVID-19 has got a lot to do with that. But also there could be also the announcement of other sicknesses as well. Personally, I like to see it, look at things in a very positive way, always. So I feel that this will have more to do with healing. All right, so which means we have to be careful with how we speak as well, how we speak to others at this time, because poison can come through words. The poison can come through, or healing could come through words at this time. So choose to bring in the healing, and remember that the North Node is in Gemini, everyone, and Gemini is two sides, try to see the other person's point of view, their side of things, and try and come into balance. Also, we must be careful with what we eat and drink, and everything should be fine. I'd also like to mention that from the 23rd degree of Scorpio until the 27th degree of Scorpio, these degrees are transcendental portals as well. So there's a form of ascension is happening now. And we know, and as I always say, through the difficulties, because we have to keep the faith in the grand scheme of things, as something wonderful is being birthed right now. Divine love, divine wisdom, divine truth. Never sleep. Okay, they're always alert. And there's another proverb that we say always, and that is that the bad is the servant of the good. So let the bad energies serve towards the good. So what does that mean? That the power is in the good, in the positive, and not in the negative, right? Now, so this was the new moon, 23 degrees in the sign of Scorpio. Very, very important time. Let's now go on to the, just before I leave this chart here, we've got Mercury in conjunction with Chiron. Chiron is that open wound, psychological, physical healing through spiritual means. But poor Mercury, remember Mercury's still at 5. He has to come up. He's received the information, whatever's been hidden. He's at this point on the 15th, on the new moon, he was heading for that 11th degree. So he had to deal with Uranus, an opposition with Uranus and Black Moon Lilith. And he came up. Now, as I will show you, he's nearly at the point of sextiling, because he's gone through his squares, his square aspects to these big players. Okay, remember that a sextile is helpful energy. So as soon as he moves towards the 23rd degree, this is where the new moon happened in Scorpio, right? New beginnings. This could be information, and I will show you. I will show you. But I just wanted to add also that Venus at 22 degrees on this new moon, she was in a perfect square to these big players here. So she's at a point of challenge as well here with the new moon in Scorpio. Okay, let's go on to the 30th of November. All right, so here we are with the lunar prenumbral eclipse, which means it's not a total eclipse, lunar eclipse. And a lunar eclipse, of course, is the moon and the sun, the sun and the moon right opposite each other. It's happening at 8 degrees and 38 minutes, right? And it's happening on the axis Sagittarius and Gemini. Now, of course, the eclipses always are close to the nodes. That's why it's not just a full moon and it's an eclipse. Now, eclipses mean something is being eclipsed out of our life. This is a full moon, and full moons always are ending, so this is a double whammy. We know that eclipses are very potent, much more potent in comparison to just a full moon. And we know that full moons we can be very sensitive, so a lunar eclipse is 10 times a full moon. Now, the axis Sagittarius and Gemini, and this is a full moon, which is happening for Gemini. Those of you that are Gemini suns and rising, well, I suppose moon in Gemini as well. We've got a full moon in Gemini, which is saying that, dear Gemini, for those of you that on your birthday, on that new moon in your sign, you made a wish, you sent out your wishes out to Spirit. This should be the completion, the realization of your wish from back mid-year around your birthday. Now, we've got the axis, Gemini and Sagittarius. Remember that now everyone, the sun being in Sagittarius, this is a major shift from the sun having transited Scorpio. Scorpio is darkness. It's very, very different energy. What is Scorpio? It's a breakdown. It's a death. It's regeneration. It can mean devastation. It can also mean that one is losing themselves. They need to synthesize in a godly way. Scorpio is also the undercurrent vibration, right? Things dealing with the lower vibrations, which can be heavy, it can be dark. The sun moving through Sagittarius is totally different. I mean, the energies are totally different. What is Sagittarius? Sagittarius is optimism, it's enthusiasm, it's growth. Remember that Sag is ruled by Jupiter. It's all about freedom. Sagittarian energy is all about expansion and growth. They love to go on trips. They love philosophy. They love teaching. It's higher education. It's religion. It's spiritual. Very, very adventurous. Whereas Scorpio is dark. It's like being shut up in a dark room, whereas Sagittarius is getting out there. It's our personal vision. It's worldly matters, it's happiness, it's the meaning of life, it's truth. It could also deal with legalities. Okay, so, but we've got a polarity here. I mean, we've got the Gemini Sagittarius polarity, right? And Gemini is all about, it's binary, it's double, it's the twins. Whereas, there's a sense of division with Gemini. And this axis, of course, axis 3 and 9, house number 3 and 9, it's all about exploration and mental growth. Because remember that Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is mentality. It's how we speak. It's how we communicate. It's doing business with others. Whereas Sagittarius is having a bigger perspective to things. It's not looking at two things that are close to us. Remember, Gemini is our environment. It's our neighborhood. It's the siblings. It's the twins. It's something that's close to you, whereas Sagittarius, something is at a distance. Okay? And this is where this eclipse is happening. Now, Sagittarius is all about union, togetherness, being whole. So that's the polarity of Gemini and Sagittarius. Remember that now, because the whole of 2020, up until the new moon in Scorpio, it was all about that Plutonian, Martian, Scorpio energy. Now the sun is in Sagittarius. The energies are shifting. But we've still got a few planets that are trailing in Scorpio. Venus at the 11th degree of Scorpio. Now Venus turns dark in Scorpio. She can turn jealous. She can turn dark. She wants a very deep connection. She's not happy with the on the surface things. She needs depth. And she's also, being in Scorpio means that love can be transforming here, because relationships, we've got Juno here. Juno in mythology is Hera, and Hera was the wife of Zeus. Juno is how we commit, okay, long-term commitments. Juno is at the 23rd degree. She's right on the degree where the new moon happened in Scorpio. So there is a death and a transformation where commitments are concerned. There is a transformation on how we love, nurture, provide that hearth, that emotional security to our beloved. Unical of course, here as well, so conjunct Juno. So there is you're either dealing with a toxic relationship that needs transformation, needs to go through a death process, or your relationship, this could mean ending and like letting go of a toxic connection, marriage, commitment, whatever that is, or a new chapter in a connection. I would say for a lot of people, it's like it's be all, end all at this time, as the energies are very potent. This is an eclipse. So therefore, something is being eclipsed out of our life. So we still have some scorpionic energies here. Now, it's interesting to see that we've also got Uranus here at 10 degrees. It's still in opposition with Venus. So something maybe shocking has happened for you recently, or you may be finding out something to do with matters of love, matters of intimacy. Scorpio is intimacy. Venus in Scorpio is also money coming through others, through your partner, through another source as well. And remember also that Uranus in Taurus can mean fluctuation in money, changes where your values are concerned. For those of you that are born in the first 10 days, let's say, of the sign of Taurus, so roughly around the beginning of May, okay, the first days of May, you've been going through a lot, obviously, with Uranus here. There's no doubt about that. As you can see here on the 30th, we've got Neptune now direct, and Neptune is still being squared by the nodes. And Neptune can mean that deception. It can mean media as well. And we've got a karmic situation here Okay, we know that squares mean turning a corner, um, turning a karmic corner. Remember also that the sun is on the south node, so something will be shown in relation to something that we need to excrete, to shed, to let go of, old outworn beliefs. Remember that Sagittarius and the lower side, the low vibration of Sagittarius can mean fanatism. It can mean dogmas, beliefs, my religion, my faith, my spirituality, my God. Also, my justice and your justice, or my injustice. Something like that needs to be let go of. Okay, we've got polarization, opposites here. Okay, and just wanted to mention that Neptune has been retrograde from the end of June, so 23rd of June 2020, and it's been also retrograde on the degrees 18, 19, and 20, which are also very spiritual degrees. But Neptune, now having moved direct, is here to challenge the karma. This is a time of burning the karma, ending a karmic situation, being able to see, being challenged to see and not be frightened to look into what and who has been deceptive. So yes, Neptune will clear the confusion. We're going to see a lot of things coming up through the media about deception, about lies, about strategic ways of. Remember that Neptune can mean confusion, confusing. Neptune is also a very dark house. It is a spiritual house, but there's a form of escapism, using medicines, doing anything to try and escape a situation. And remember that Neptune, Pisces, is also the house of imprisonment, jails, hospitals, but also karmic endings. An ending of a karmic cycle, everyone. Now, Mars moving direct at the 16th, again, that beautiful spiritual degree, is trining over to Hygeia, things to do with health. Remember that Mars is the warrior. Mars is action. It's fire. It's moving forward. It's going to speak up. It's in Aries. Aries is that seed that we plant. But Mars is coming up, and we've got the team here. As I was saying before, the sister of Mars is here. So they're quite a team. Okay, remember that Mars is also the individual. Okay, whereas the individual is squaring over to the boss here in Capricorn. Who is the boss here? Who is the boss for you? I mean, we've got the patriarchy. The patriarchy, which is going through a major cleanse here because Pluto is regenerating everything here. The plutocracy has changed much in global economies. Okay, on the 12th of November, we had Jupiter right on, exact with Pluto here, and that was the third and final meeting. Okay, so many changes in the global arena, of course. And plutocracy, what does that mean? Because this has been happening for the whole of 2020. This means that the wealth is kept by a few. Okay, the riches, the wealth are kept in a few certain people's pockets, in the minority of the world's population. That's what's been trying to happen. So the middle class, with all the small businesses being shut down with this lockdown, this pandemic, is bringing people to the brink of financial downfalls. Obviously, the world is suffering financially right now, and that's a form of control. It's also very important to filter all that we hear right now because there is a lot of deception going on. Okay, so think twice before you act on something that you've heard. Always try and see both sides of a story and don't believe everything that you hear. But remember what I said with Mercury having retrograded in Scorpio, the messenger of the gods is bringing the news through. Things are starting to show up. What's scary, what's a little bit, and I'm not going to lie to you, is that Mars will be conjoining with his sister, okay, very soon in the next few days. And they will both be squaring over to Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto, which that's going to be the peak of 2020, everyone. My concern is around from the 10th of December, because on the we've got another eclipse around the 15th, depending on where you are in the world. That is going to be the new moon solar eclipse. It's going to be a total solar eclipse, and it's going to be at the 23rd degree of Sagittarius. So a new moon for Sagittarius, which will be an eclipse. And usually the pressure is usually as the planet is coming up to the difficult degree. So if we look at Pluto and Mars connecting here, it's only 4 degrees apart. Okay, so the first difficult connection will be around the 10th of December. This can be quite harsh, very challenging. Okay, but I will be going into more details and much more into what's going on with that eclipse, as there's very important points that I need to show you. Just looking at the chart here for around the 10th, and we know that on the 16th, where the elections are concerned, that's a very important day. So that's going to be right on the eclipse. Here we've got the sun on the 10th in a beautiful grand trine, a beautiful grand fire trine, which is connecting to Mars. Mars and Hygeia. Remember, Mars in Aries is the warrior. It's someone ready to take on a challenge. Could mean a beginning with helpful energies to do with health, because also the sun is also it's spiritual healing, it's physical healing, it's healing of the soul. Okay, as I've said to you, I mean, this eclipse will be at the 23rd degree on the 16th, roughly 15th, depending on where you are. So we're going to be dealing with a lot to do with the past, right? South node, the sun will be moving over the south node. And the south node is letting go, excreting. Interesting that Venus will be at 23 degrees of Scorpio on that day, right on Uniculi as well. And again, we're in an inconjunction where Mars and Venus are concerned here. So again, Venus, love relationships are still going through a challenge. Now, interesting to see that there's also a sextile here. So there is helpful energy as well as Juno, Hera, in other words, with Venus. So love relationships, commitments are starting to heal. Okay, we're starting to heal, we're starting to transform, as interestingly enough, Saturn is at the very last, very important degree of its home sign of Capricorn, ready to move into Aquarius. It's going to lighten the load. The darkness is going to make way for the light. Jupiter also, I mean, this is like 10 days, not even a week before both these big planets, these teachers, move into Aquarius. We're slowly moving into the age of Aquarius, everyone. Aquarius is the people, is the population. Okay, it's also the future. And remember, Aquarius in the tarot is shown by the star, which is a card of hope and a card of healing. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to begin with Aries. I want to thank you all for liking, sharing, and subscribing. I'd love to hear your comments on what you thought of this information. And I want to wish you well to all of you. Okay, Aries and Aries rising, this eclipse will be happening for you on the axis 3 and 9. So third house and ninth house. Third house it's the house of mental ability. Remember that it's ruled by Mercury. So third house is people that are close to you. So in your periphery, this could involve siblings, neighbors, aunts, uncles, anything to do with communication, how you communicate. Third house is also the house of teachings. Like the student. It's the student versus the teacher. So doing business with people that are close to you, or anything to do with primary education. Ninth house is where the sun will be. So that's higher education. It's your philosophy. It's got to do with exploration, your truth, your higher ideals. It's the house of spirituality. It's also the house of the teacher. Remember that the sun is transiting ninth house, and it is close to the south node, which means you should be shedding something to do with ninth house matters. Okay, so the moon will be showing you that there's going to be an ending to do with the third house matters for you. Okay, and a lunar eclipse, remember, something will be eclipsed out of your life. So this could be things to do with how you communicate, what are your old outworn beliefs. This is something that you are shedding. Okay, and this is also you dealing more with things to do with your periphery, people that are closer to home for you. Okay, third house can also mean it's also the house of short distance travel, anything to do with mobile phones, mobility, a car, right? Anything that you use to travel short distance. So that's what's going on for you, dear Aries. Okay, so something is being left behind, obviously, at this time for you. All right, let's go on to the next sign, Taurus and Taurus rising. Taurus, for you, this is happening in your second house and eighth house. So this axis has got to do with mine and ours. Remember that the second house is what I have. The eighth house is what is ours, or what you bring to the table, because the eighth house is usually money from a partner. So the moon will be for you. There's going to be some ending, some sort of ending. Something is being eclipsed out of your life, to do with your values also, because second house is the house of values. It's the house of I want to feel good, those five senses. Taurus, for you, your second house has also got to do with what you own versus what your partner owns. These second and eighth house have got to do with money. So there will be some sort of an ending to do with your values or something that you own. Okay. All right. So that's what this will be all about for you. Okay, Gemini and Gemini rising, for you, you will be affected through this eclipse where your first and seventh houses are concerned, which means the axis 1 and 7 for you. The first house is a very personal house. Remember that the first house is the physical body. It's how you're seen out in the world. As I said, it's a very personal house. Seventh house is others. So first house is me, myself, and I versus the others, my relationships, the people that are opposite me. This could be people that you work with. They could be family members. They could be romantic connections as well. So remember that the moon will be in the first house, so something ending there. Something will be shown to you from others because the sun will be right across you. Something will be shown to you from a partner, from another person that needs to be eclipsed, that you need to eclipse out of your life. Well, you're not going to eclipse it. The energies are spirit is, God is. Something obviously that is not working for you needs to be left behind, dear Gemini. So that's what's going on for you. This is very important. Remember, for those of you that did not listen earlier, I did say that this should be in a way like a wish fulfillment. Why? Because this is your full moon of the year, which means you've made a wish on your new moon around your birthday. This should be you realizing this wish fulfillment at this time. So that's what's going on for you, dear Gemini. Thank you for listening. Next, let's go on to Cancer and Cancer rising. Dear Cancer, you will be affected with this full moon in your 12th house and your 6th house. So the axis 12th and 6th houses. Okay, now the 6th house and the 12th house, well, I should say that the full moon for you is happening in your 12th. As you could see, you're here, right? So it's behind your back. So this full moon, 12th house is endings anyway, nevertheless. 12th house can be a house of spirituality. It can be the house of fears, also fears of the unknown. It could also be a very spiritual house as well. It could also be, because the 12th house can mean also clandestine relationships, it's also a house of imprisonment, prisons, jails, hospitals, but it's also a very subconscious house as well. 12th house is also a spiritual house, so trust in the divine plan, dear Cancer. Now, 12th house and 6th house. 6th house is your house of health. It's your daily routine. It's also the house of service. So this is something that you are dealing with at this time that will be shown to you, something karmic that you need to let go of, because remember the South Node is here. This could even be work colleagues, okay? And 12th house, remember, it's the unconscious. It's also something that is behind our backs. So it can have to do also with things that have been hidden. Something could be shown to you at this time. So dear Cancer, that's what's going on for you. Okay, so let's go on to the next sign. So Leo sun and Leo rising. Leo, you will be affected in your 11th house, so the full moon will be your 11th house. The 11th house is the house of groups and associations. It's money coming through after career. It's the house of friendships. So there is an ending around these matters. Versus your 5th house. So the 5th house is the house of the individual, and the 11th house is the house of the collective. So me versus the collective, right? It's what I want to create versus creating through a collective, through a group. So obviously something is ending for you in your 11th house. That's where the full moon is happening. And an ending obviously means a new beginning. And remember that it's an eclipse. It's a full moon eclipse. So full moons are very strong, can be quite challenging, quite sensitive. This being an eclipse can be strong sensitivities coming up for you in relation to the individual, yourself, and the collective, or, you know, ending some form of a group and association, ending that, and maybe because the sun is here, right? And remember, it's the sun is transiting through Sagittarius, so obviously Sagittarius is very beneficial. It works really well with your sign. It's in a good connection to the house of Leo. So whatever you are leaving behind, this could mean that you are hoping to create something of your own, dear Leo. So that's what's going on for you. Now remember also the fifth house can mean romance. It's the house of romance. It's the house of fun, flirtation, right? It's also the house of children, dear Leo. So, wow. Okay. So could this be, I mean, the full moon is going to show you that something is coming to culmination. The moon is going to show you something, and obviously something that was hidden. Could this be a wish fulfillment for you in relation to those matters that I just mentioned? Interesting. All right, Leo, thank you so much. Next sign, Virgo and Virgo rising. Dear Virgo, how are you all? Okay, so this full moon lunar eclipse will be happening on the axis 10th house and 4th house. So things to do with your career and things to do your career status and your goals, right? Your aspirations versus home, your emotional security, your family, your actual place of residence, and so on and so forth. So the full moon will be happening in your 10th house, which says there will be an ending to do with, as I said, your career, your status, one of your goals. There could be an ending. Remember that an ending leads to a new beginning, obviously, this culmination. But also remember that with a full moon, we see what has been hidden in relation to those matters. And the sun is transiting your fourth house. Fourth house is also the mother. It could be your heritage, things to do with your past. Remember that the fourth house is our emotional and financial feeling secure, feeling nurtured and provided. Are you feeling nurtured and provided for, or is there going to be a transformation, an ending with one of your goals or your status or how people see you in the world? There is an ending. So, wow, Virgo, good luck with that. All right, let's go on to the sign of Libra. Libra and Libra rising. You will be ending something in your ninth house. Ninth house, the axis 9 and 3 has got to do with things to do with communication. Remember, the ninth house is things that are at a distance to us. It's all about exploration, truth, law, spirituality, different cultures, higher education. It's the house of philosophy. So something is ending in that concern, and the sun is transiting your third house. And the third house is the house of communication, short distance travel, being mobile, your car, your bike, your siblings, your neighbors, a collaboration with a small team. Okay, so that's what the sun will be transiting through your third house. So the sun brings healing, obviously, and the sun, obviously, it shines onto the moon so that the moon can be lit up and show us what's been hidden. So something's been hidden in your ninth house, which will be shown to you, and there will be a culmination to what's going on for you. So things to do with something at a distance and something close to your home, but also things relating to the student and the teacher. This could be things, matters of higher education, not traveling for furthering your education, but maybe being educated through being closer to your home. So through social media, I mean, third house can mean the internet, right? As a lot of that is happening right now with the lockdown. All right, so I will leave that there for you, dear Libra. Thank you so much. Now let's go on to the sign of Scorpio, Scorpio Sun and Scorpio rising. Dear Scorpio, something will be ending for you. It will be shown to you and it will be eclipsed from your life. Something to do with 8th house matters. Now, the 8th house and the 2nd house are money houses, dear Scorpio. They're also that axis, the 8th and the 2nd houses, is mine and yours. So, sorry, mine and ours. Of course, the 8th house is ours, or it's income coming through from another source, from your partner. So something is ending there, something is transforming there, versus what you own, what your values are all about. So is it something to do, I mean, remember that the moon is going to be in your 8th. So the moon is going to be receiving the sunlight, okay, the reflection of the sun, which will be showing you something hidden to do with money coming through either your partner or other sources. Or remember also that the 8th house it's the house of intimacy as well. So you naturally rule the 8th house anyway, dear Scorpio. And remember that you've had a new moon, and I'd like to wish you a happy birthday for a recent birthday that you've had. You've had your new moon, so something has started for you, dear Scorpio. Now, 2nd house is where the sun is transiting. 2nd house is values. It's also what you own, okay? Is something of value to you? Is it worth your while? What do you own? What makes you feel good? What makes you feel comfortable? That's where the sun will be transiting. And the sun in Sag in your 2nd house is very positive for money coming in to you from from the power of, from your power. So what you give to your life, not what comes from others, but what you manifest for yourself. All right, Scorpio, I want to thank you. Let's go on to Sagittarius. Sagittarius Sun and Sagittarius Rising, Ascendant. So, dear Sagittarius, your 7th house is where the full moon will be happening. So this is your relationships. This is other people. This could be other people in your life. Okay, it can be a marriage, people that you work with, family. Okay, and so there is a culmination and ending in a relationship of sorts, versus the sun is transiting your 1st house. 1st house is the very personal house. It's the house of thyself. So it's you versus others. Obviously, the sun is coming closer to the South Node, which is saying that you need to let go of something to do with your religion, because we know that you're all about religion, all about spirituality. Okay, the sun is going to bring you healing in matters of religion, spirituality, matters of philosophy. Remember that the South Node is you're shedding something that is very familiar to you, something that you've learned in a past incarnation, something to do with your upbringing, your conditioning. You need to leave that behind because it's weighing you down. Remember, the South Node is something karma, something karmic that you need to shed. This is like the snake peeling off its layers, shedding the old. And happy birthday, dear Sagittarius. As we know that it's a very jovial time when we're going through our solar return. I do feel because you are a very positive sign, you do bring a lot of positivity to the world. So obviously, I would say, because what I feel is with the sun transiting your first, you are in the spotlight here, obviously. So you're shedding something to do with others. Something to do with others. And remember that the North Node, dear Sagittarius, is in your house of partnership, which is saying this is a very fated time for you where other people are concerned. So you're growing into your North Node now, maybe letting go of even past ideas in relation to religion or how you connect to others, your truth, anything to do with justice as well, the laws of life, right? In comparison to, your beliefs and the other people. This could be you wanting to look at both sides now with the North Node in your 7th house. Now, this could also be you deciding on 2 different people. Remember, North Node in Gemini can mean that you're in 2 minds about a certain connection in your life. But this also means that you need to be more curious and be ready to learn. Learn maybe from someone who is younger, someone who's more logical, whereas you're more expansive thinking, right? Anyway, dear Sagittarius, I'm wishing you luck. I'm wishing you luck, and I hope that everything goes well for you. Remember that you're coming into a new moon on the 15th, 16th of the month, which will be your wild card, your lucky break. And that's going to be an eclipse. So very, very important time. Very, very important time indeed for you. For those of you that have got your birthday around the 30th, your next year is going to be a total change. Your whole next year is going to be, your next birthday is going to see you in a totally different place. So yes, very, very, very important. Okay, let's go on to Capricorn. Capricorn Sun and Capricorn Rising. Dear Capricorn, your 6th house is where something is ending for you, and it's got to do with your 12th house as well. So something to do with your health, your daily routine, your the way you provide a service to others, things to do with a pet of yours as well. Remember that the moon is showing you something that is culminating, ending, something that was hidden. And also, of course, the North Node is here. So whatever is happening, this is in your future. This is meant for you as you're growing into your North Node in relation to 6th house matters. Now, 12th house is the house of endings. It's a very spiritual house. It's the subconscious. 12th house is also a very hidden house, right? So the sun will be transiting your 12th. You could be finding out about karmic things that were happening behind your back. Interesting that I just remembered now, I think Capricorn, that I was saying something in your tarot reading, my last upload for, your general and love reading for the month of December. I think that I was saying something is happening behind your back. Interesting. Maybe you want to watch that. So yes, something is ending to do with prisons, hospitals, generally imprisonment, fears, karmic situations, clandestine relationships as well. The sun is going to show you something karmic that you need to shed. Remember, the 12th house is our subconscious. You may also be receiving, listen to your subconscious, because there's something here that you know this full moon, this lunar eclipse could be bringing something from your subconscious to the conscious. And pay attention to your dreams as well, dear Capricorn. You may be receiving messages through your dreams. Okay, also 12th house is a very spiritual house. So not, this is not going to be dark and difficult for everyone. Okay, this could be you slowly awakening to spirit. So trust in the divine plan, dear Capricorn. I know you've been through a lot. Things will start to change. You're just before your birthday, which is saying that it's a very quiet time. It's a time of solitude before you come out into the world. I feel that you are the most, in the year 2020, you have dealt with the most difficult energies of all the signs, and the rewards are going to be big for you. So don't lose faith, dear Capricorn. Sending you much love. Thank you for listening. Love you lots. All right, let's go on to Aquarius and Aquarius rising. So Aquarius, the full moon will be happening for you in your 5th house, the house of romance, children, creativity, risk-taking, versus the 11th house. The sun will be transiting your 11th. 11th house is the house of wishes and dreams, groups and associations, affiliations. It's the house of the future. It's also the house of wishes and dreams and friendships. So the sun will be, shedding its light onto the moon. So things that were hidden and that things that need to culminate and be eclipsed out of your life will be happening in the 5th house. And on the axis 5-11, which the axis 5 and 11 is the individual and the collective. So what I create versus working with a team. So, dear Aquarius, I'd also like to add that soon it will be your birthday. Of course, you're going to be blessed with Jupiter and Saturn around the 20th of December. I will be showing you, if you're following me with my daily videos, my Astro Today, I do go into the details, so look out for those videos. It's your time, dear Aquarius. You're really being blessed at this time. A lot has been going on behind your back. There's been a transformation going on for you, no doubt, with all these big planets bringing in changes, things to do with your past, things to do with your karma, right? And things to do with endings. This could also, because the house behind us, the 12th house, can also be a very spiritual house. So this could be you having gone through a spiritual awakening as well. But there's a lot of luck around the corner for you, dear Aquarius. I am envious, actually. I'm jealous. I wish I could be an Aquarius at this time. Anyway, we are moving into the age of Aquarius. You, Aquarius, you are the ones that are going to bring us into the future. You are our salvation, I'm going to say at this time. So I'd like to send you my blessings and thank you so much for being who you are, dear Aquarius. Yeah, also, I'd just like to add before I end that the sun transiting your 11th, the sun is positivity, but it will be conjoining with the south node, which has got to do with past karma, something that you've got to shed, drop, and leave, because it's something very familiar that you need to, get rid of it because it's weighing you down. It's keep holding you back. Okay, something that's very familiar, something that's very comfortable for you. It's a time of getting uncomfortable, dear Aquarius. I'm afraid to say. So I will leave you with that. I want to thank you so much and sending you blessings. Let's go on to my darlings, Pisces and Pisces rising. Dear Pisces, something will be eclipsed, will be shown to you, will be culminating in your 4th house of family, your place of heritage, your place of familiarity. So what makes you feel comfortable, things to do with your past, your family, your parents, your mother, your place of residence, I wanted to say, and I said place of heritage. I don't know what that means. Anyway, so verses as the sun will be transiting your 10th house. So things to do with your status, your goals, your aspirations, and your career. So this is a growth spurt for you, dear Pisces, as something will be ending to do with 4th house matters. Now, 4th house can have to do with the past as well. And remember that the North Node is transiting your 4th house, which is saying there is something new being brought in for you, okay, to do with your 4th house matters. And something needs to be shed in your 10th house. So leaving, matters to do with home and career. One area versus the other. Now, so home versus your professional life. Remember that the 10th house is also, it also deals with the father. 4th house is the mother. So I don't know how this speaks to you personally. It reminds me of the Emperor, right, in the tarot, where you need to grow up suddenly. And that's where the sun is transiting through. So this could be a growth spurt for you. And remember that the 10th house is usually the father and the 4th house is the mother. But also the 4th house is also how we're loved and nurtured by our environment, okay, how we feel safe and secure versus going out there in the world and becoming that elder and the wiser. So remember, the child that needs nurturing, that breast milk, is the 4th house. The 10th house is getting out there and becoming the emperor. So remember that also the sun will be coming up to your North Node, so you need to shed something of the past, something that was karmic, that was holding you back, okay, in your 10th house. And your North Node transiting your 4th, again, that's where you need to target and shoot that arrow towards. So, dear Pisces, that's what I have for you as well. I do hope that all goes well for you. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Wishing you well until the next video. Much love, much light. Talk to you soon.